Hello, and welcome to She Leads Biotech, the podcast that celebrates the achievements of women in the bioscience space. I'm your host, Sharron Cox, CEO and Managing Director of CNA International, a boutique search firm based in New York. Each week, I have the privilege of learning from incredible leaders as they share their stories. Together, we celebrate their triumphs, explore their challenges, and uncover their vision for the future of bioscience. Our conversations also provide invaluable insights into how women can unlock their unique superpowers and succeed on their own terms. So, whether you're just starting your journey in bioscience, contemplating your next career move, or simply passionate about science and innovation, this podcast is here to empower, inspire, and guide you. My guest today began her journey in Amsterdam as the daughter of Jewish immigrants from the former Soviet Union, and she's carried that strength and determination throughout her life. With a doctor in pharmacy and a PhD in analytical chemistry, she built a global career in the pharmaceutical industry, working in R&D, medical affairs, and compliance for major companies across Europe and the US. Then at 40, she pivoted. What began as a personal search for relief from a severe skin reaction turned into a purpose-driven business. Today, she leads a skincare company grounded in science, developed for those with autoimmune conditions and sensitive skin. She's proof that scientific rigor, entrepreneurial courage, and compassion can live in one mission. So please welcome CEO of EpiLynx, Dr. Liia Ramachandra. Hey, Liia.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And remind me again, where am I speaking to you from?
So I'm based in a sunny Los Angeles. So it's nice and warm. It's wonderful. It's a good Friday.
Well, okay. It's not in New York. It's freezing. It's still freezing. It's April.
Really?
And it's still cold.
Oh, no.
45 degrees and raining.
It's been 80 degrees here. I'm sorry.
No. I don't want to hear that. I love the sun so much. I'm such a sun worshipper. Maybe I should move to LA. Maybe I should move out of New York. And I don't actually think I could afford LA. I can barely afford New York.
New York is expensive. We moved here from Chicago, so I feel your cold weather.
You feel my pain, right? Yeah, I know. Well, actually, that's a really interesting point because one of the things that I do know about you is how much you've traveled and the places that you've worked. And I'm really excited to kind of delve into that. But tell me how things started for you. How did you find yourself on this career path?
So I've been always in the healthcare industry. I wanted to be, so I'm a PharmD and a PhD in drug development and biomarker research. But I wanted to be a pharmacist since I was 5 years old. So as long as I can remember myself being conscious. And because, my grandma was a pharmacist and I heard all the stories always how amazing it was. So obviously, some people like my kids now, they don't know what they want to become. And they almost go into college and saying, okay, I don't know what to study. I luckily always knew what I wanted to study. So kind of starting PharmD was an easy choice and the PhD kind of by default, because, if you want to become a scientist or in a healthcare, it's easier when you have a PhD. So that's how it started.
And I hear from your accent, what's your origin?
So I was born in the former Soviet Union. And by the time when I was 13, we moved to the Netherlands, which is maybe not an obvious choice. So we moved to the Netherlands, to the city of Groningen. I don't know if anyone ever heard of it, but it's all the way up north, close to German border. So I grew up there, I studied there, and I did my PhD in Amsterdam. And then I lived in London and Royal Leamington Spa in England.
Love that place.
Yeah, and then the last 13 years or so in US. So that's why you probably hear some Eastern European, some Dutch, some whatever, a mixture of everything.
It's a beautiful accent, I have to say. It's I'm trying to work on my Brooklyn to kind of make me a little bit more US, but not really working.
Don't do it. You have a beautiful accent.
People keep saying to me, "Don't go there." That's just. So, how did your career start in the pharmaceutical world then? Because you didn't then go off and be a pharmacist, did you?
No, exactly. And I do speak with a lot of students who study pharmacy or in the healthcare field, and they all ask, okay, I always thought that as a PharmD or pharmacist, I will have to go work. Well, in Europe, it's the pharmacist. Here, it could be CVS or Walgreens, or become a hospital pharmacist, right? Become a clinical pharmacist. And that's kind of the two paths people think they have when they go study pharmacy. But really, I think 95% of people end up in the pharmaceutical industry, because then you kind of see the world opens up that by joining a biotech, a small or big pharma, or even startup, you can do so many things. You can do medical affairs, you can do sales, you can become a CEO of the company, you can do regulatory, you can do anything, you can become commercial leader, right? It's like in business development. So as a pharmacist, because you learn so much about the medical development, about the clinical development, about the medicines, how they develop, but also just kind of general process, you can do so much with your degrees. So me, when I did my PharmD, I also didn't know what to do with my degree. I knew I did not want to be a pharmacist in the pharmacy.
Okay. And you went off that after 5, did you?
Yes.
Seems a really kind of sexy job to have at 5 with a nice white coat on. Now it's like, I'm 7. I'm 7 now. I need to do something else.
Yes. So I did basically what I think many people do. Like, okay, I'm going to continue my education because I don't know what to do now. And doing my PhD actually in a hospital setting, which was great, with a lot of big group that did everything. There were MDs and PharmDs and engineers. I could see like, oh, there's so many different paths. So once I finished my PhD, I was recruited by 3 different big pharmaceutical companies. And I was so lucky then, many years ago, could choose what company I could start at. And of course, you can't start immediately as like a medical VP, medical affairs VP. So I started as a scientist in bioanalysis, which my PhD was in that. So I would always suggest, okay, if you specialize in something, you could start there if you want to join the pharmaceutical industry. And then, of course, grow your way to whatever you want to be. And in my career, I was a scientist for a year and a half. And then I'm like, okay, I wanna travel the world. I wanna do more. So I joined the medical affairs in the Netherlands, but working in Middle East and Eastern Europe. So traveling all the time, seeing different countries, different healthcare systems, many different patients, and it was really great. And then, of course, grew into global medical affairs, into ethics and compliance. You can really do a lot of different things.
Incredible. And what was that experience like for you as a woman in big pharma, traveling the world, doing all these kinds of jobs? What challenges, if any, did you come up against?
I mean, honestly, it was great. And I think I would be still doing it if I didn't have kids and all the stuff, the life throws at you. I mean, I love what I do now, but it was really great. I think especially when you are younger, just starting your career, I suggest join something where you can do as much as you can. You can work, you can give your 1,000% travel. So I was a lot, say, in Dubai, I was in Romania, I was in all these different countries, working with the affiliates from that pharmaceutical company that I was working with, just learning what they do, how they work, visiting hospitals, learning healthcare systems there. It just broadens your horizon. So I think,
absolutely.
Challenges, everyone has challenges because you have to learn so much. and you have to be adaptable, and you have to be understanding and not saying, oh, that healthcare system sucks. That's not true, because it's a different country. It's a different way that people do things, So I think just understanding and learning and being like a sponge, right, is great. And I think I've received so much support from everyone in every country, from the company, but also from the hospitals. And you meet a lot of key opinion leaders that are doctors or patients. You see their point of view. And to be honest, the world is so global now that a lot of people study all over the world, come back to the country where they're from, bring that knowledge. So it was kind of a full circle. So I really would advise to everyone, try to do as much as possible, as much travel as you can.
Yeah, and you're right, aren't you? I know certainly when I was growing up, even just to go across to France was like a big deal from the UK. It's like, oh, you're traveling but now the world is so big, yet it's so small. And the opportunities to experience all of those things must have been incredible. What was your favorite country or continent that you spent time on?
Oh, that's so hard. That's fair. I don't like this. Well, well, I wanted to say that because since I was studying my PharmD part of the masters, I always wanted to be in UK. I wanted to go to UK. That's why for part of my masters, I went to London, and I was going to stay and do my PhD there until I realized I can afford like a corner of the room, and which is now great. Then it was like a bit far and hard to get anywhere. So yeah. I really, really loved England. It was like you said, New York is expensive. London is expensive. And and of course now in the last 13 years, I worked in US, in Chicago for 10 years, and now with my own company here in LA. I mean, I love US, so I probably would never move anywhere in the world for a long time.
You've been all over the place. There's no really where else to go for any given time, is there? So, and that brings me on, because you did all of this. You were in pharma, R&D, medical affairs, all aspects of it, building up through the ranks in the pharmaceutical world. And then certain age in your life, I'm not going to go there with what that was. You pivoted and you're now on this other journey, which is incredible. Talk to me about that. How did that come about?
Right. Yeah. So, at a certain point, like you said, I turned 40. I can name that. And then I was like, I mean, I loved what I was doing, and I was a VP in a big pharmaceutical company. I really was enjoying my job and the teams I worked with. But then I said, I had 3 kids at that point also. And I said, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I would be doing. And at that point, I also had a lot of health issues. So my psoriasis was flaring up. I had gluten sensitivity. I had my 3rd child at that point for a few years. So I really was thinking, okay, I need to step back a bit. And that's okay sometimes to step back. But also, wanted to do something on my own, and at that point, as a pharmacist, didn't even think about it. I started making my own creams for me because my face was all red and it just nothing worked, and it healed. My face healed. I started giving my creams to my friends, and then everyone was like, I want to buy this. I want more of this. So then I said, okay, now I know this is my calling. This has always been my calling since 5 years old. And I could have not done that without all the experience I've gained in the biotech and the pharmaceutical industry. So at that point, I said, okay, let me start a skincare company, focusing on people with sensitive skin, with allergies, with health conditions. So it's still very much health related, but really focusing on my skill, making those skincare products for people that truly need it. And there is still at this point no skincare really that is focusing on people with severe allergies or really sensitive skin. So even though now it's many years later, so that's how it came to fruition.
Okay, so have you branched out from the skincare range, or do you do other areas, or where are you at? Because I don't imagine you kind of just sitting there making pots of cream and putting those out there.
I love it though, but no. I mean, it was great. It's
just fill up this pot.
Relaxing. It's my meditation. I mean, when somebody says, what do you love the most about your job? Is still sitting in the lab developing formulations, and I still develop them. But yeah,
Right.
I don't come and sit there, even though if I could and earn the money, that would be great. But yes. So we started small. We started in Chicago in the basement in the small room, moved to a bigger room, moved to another facility. Now I think on our fourth facility, and it's now in LA. It's now where a lot of movie stars make their skincare. We're on the same street, which is so great because, there's so much talent there, but also you just you come there, it's in the air. But yeah, we've grown significantly. We're still bootstrapped, which I'm still very proud about. I mean, there's nothing wrong with raising money or not raising money, but I will continue doing it as much as we can because you have your creative but also organizational independence. But we've grown quite significantly, and we are now in about 550 spas, beauty stores. We have a huge store, obviously, Amazon, wholesale, DTC store. So we're growing exponentially. So which is great. So I
Fantastic.
feel that, this is my second career, and my first one led me to this. But I really hope that this company will become at a certain point household name, at least when you think about allergies, that people come to us. And it's happening now. We have a lot of people from all over the world saying, I want to bring your skincare to Europe. I want to be your distributor. We don't have a skincare that's focusing on people with allergies or sensitive skin. We have a lot of customers in New Zealand or Australia, and it's so rewarding because it's something that originally I made with my own hands or developed.
Amazing.
And helping each individuals who come to us and say, for 20 years I couldn't use anything on my face, and now I'm glowing. It just it's so rewarding.
Famous use your products that you know of?
Yes.
Are you able to tell us? Just tell me it's not. Just tell me it's not my best friend. Because it's so funny. You talk about having a dream. At 5, this is what you wanted to do. At 5, I wanted to come to New York. That was always my dream, was to live in New York, to be a huge Broadway star, win a Tony Award, and be best friends with Barbara Streisand.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. Me too.
So that was my dream, and I've of course made it to New York. That's about it. So, and Barbara's not returning my LinkedIn requests or my Facebook reach out. So maybe we could have an aside conversation that if she's a customer, then maybe I can get that intro in there and we can be doing duets together at Carnegie Hall or something.
That would be great. I will try to send some products to her. She's not a customer yet, but let's make it happen. We do work with a lot of makeup artists to the celebrities, so they buy or we send.
Okay.
So I mean, sometimes you don't know who is using who, or some people we do know. But as you also know, a lot of celebrities obviously have their own skincare. So
of course,
I think it's a very different world than the pharmaceutical industry, because I think the just talking about like what do you start, the barrier to entry in, if you want to be in biotech, okay, you have to have all these degrees, right? The barrier to start your skincare used to be very low. Like everyone could just make some potions in their kitchen and do it. Not anymore. We have obviously the new act that came in July 12th last year. So now everything needs to be registered, not approved, but registered by the FDA, your manufacturing facility, your products, your company. And you have to, of course, list all your ingredients. So it's a very different now, which is good for us, when you do it professionally.
Yeah, it kind of gives you some credibility.
Yes. Yeah, because a lot of people, oh, wow, you went from a vice president in the pharmaceutical industry to skincare. And I'm like, yes, but it's number one, the skincare industry is bigger than the pharmaceutical industry,
Right.
dollar wise, and obviously the reach wise also. If you don't use any medicines, everyone still uses lip gloss or lipstick. Everyone I know,
Yep.
But I think now it's becoming much more professional and much more like a pharmaceutical industry with regulatory practices, which makes it much more also trustworthy, for people to come and say, okay, I know who. I know that this is not just something that's made in your kitchen. I know this is developed professional.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and I decided to create my own skincare regime thing. And it was, mashed bananas with honey and you kind of slather it on and then you can't get it off and then it's everywhere and it's just a mess. But as you say, you have that credibility in the sector now. Back in the day, it was considered that, you take grandma's recipe for curing a zit and you put it on and then everything's fine. German. So it's good to see that the market has evolved from there. And it's got to be like $1 billion industry, hasn't it?
Multi-billion dollar.
Yeah, multi-billion dollar industry.
Yeah, and the good thing is they always talk about lipstick index, even though during COVID it went down. But lipstick index is basically when the economy is down, lipstick sales are up because that's something small and it's eyeliner or whatever. It's something small that you can always buy and have that little a little jolt of happiness, that material thing gives you. So it's always there. It's and I think now it's becoming much more not who made it and how expensive it is, but okay, what's in there. Customers are very, very educated on ingredients and and who made and how is it made and is it good for my skin and is it less is more and
And I guess also you as the face of it with your background and your experience also helps that credibility. It's all very well that, Cindy Crawford developed this blah, blah, blah cream, but she's a model. She's never studied and dealt that. So I think you also as the face of the company, but also the backbone of the company of actually being the person who put this together and developed it from a scientific perspective must give it a lot of oomph when you're out there promoting it and looking for additional funding.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you raised such a good point because what people don't realize, yes, you can change your career or you can switch from talking like biotech to running your own skincare company. But people don't realize, and I didn't realize for some time, that we all have fear, but at a certain point, we have to be fearless because we have to be out there, right? If you work in where I was working, I gave lectures, but I didn't have to be out there. Now I can develop the best skincare in the world. I can have a lot of money advertising it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram and whatever. But if I'm not out there and putting myself out there on social media, because that's the only way now for people to realize that you are there. And it's extremely scary, especially if you're a professional, you feel you have these degrees, you have this thing, you're older. I'm not 18 years old and on TikTok. It takes that mental barrier, for anything you do, like if you switch your career fully to start saying, I cannot say I'm not going to do it. I started this company, so I have to do it. And you just have to get over yourself and be out there and face all the good people who love you and all the haters, because it's always a balance. People say, I don't like your nose, or I don't like your eyes. So people say mean stuff and people say good stuff. And that's something that I never faced being an executive in the pharmaceutical industry. And now this, you have to say, okay, it comes with a lot of happiness of giving people products that I made that make them happy, but it also comes with a lot of things I never anticipated.
Right.
And you have to say, okay, that's all part of it, and you have to do it all.
Yeah, I guess if somebody is a doctor or they are a pharmacist, it's the focus is purely on their skill set and what they can deliver. Are you going to make the right mix up of my tablets and give those to me in the right way? And I'd never really thought about it because it's gone way past it for me. But for somebody like yourself, it's not enough of what your knowledge is. People are very quick to want to bring people down.
Yes.
And, you're an attractive, successful woman. So therefore, it's open season to look at opportunities to bring you down in some way. And that must take some serious, self-belief or that ability to switch off from the haters and the negative areas. How do you do that? What goes through your mind to say, I'm not going to let that get to me because I know what the skill level is of what I do? How do you work with that?
So I think it always gets to you. And I talk to a lot of my friends who are dermatologists. Some of them are famous. You probably have seen on their Manhattan. They have big channels with 1 million followers, and they're great. Developed also great skincare. It always gets to you. I don't think, if you are a human being and you care, and we do what we do because we care, and you can say grow thick skin, or that's easy to say. It always gets to you. It is better. It gets slightly better. What helps me is that when I see some comment, I say, okay, how can I use it to my advantage? And next time I make a video, maybe they have some good suggestions, like filter through the noise and say, oh, yeah, she's right or he's right. You always think like, okay, how can I use it? And luckily, like 90% of the emails I get are really wonderful. But then you have 10% who are like, people are mad about something, right? So, or they want to say something. Then what I do, I tend not to reply immediately. I either wait a day if I get it in the evening, or I wait 4 or 5 hours. You always cool down and you reread that email, and then you say, okay, it's not about me. It's about something that person is going through.
Yeah.
It's never what you never see. Even when you see a person, it's never what you see. It's never the surface. It's something that they're dealing with. So I would say it's not about me. It's something that they're going through. How can I be kind and thoughtful and understanding in my response? And that always helps. I always say, okay, think good thoughts, say good words, do good deeds. How can I be kind in my response, even though my blood is boiling? But then it helps me, So I don't think you can ever get over it. And I don't think you should, because you do what you do because you're so passionate about it, right?
Yep.
But yes, I think just posing, you don't need to reply immediately. And then thinking that, okay, think about that other person and reply in that manner.
Right. Yeah, I just think from, because of what you do is that it's your face and everything that's out there. In my own industry, I had to grow thick skin pretty quickly. When you get, 95 no's when you're contacting people about recruitment, to maybe get one yes, 95 on call 96, and you develop a thick skin. And I found that relatively easy to do. I don't think a thick skin ever. But interestingly, one of the reasons that I didn't pursue professionally a career in the arts, in theatre, was I couldn't take the rejection. I couldn't deal with going to auditions and not getting the part and thinking, but why? I'm amazing. Why did I not get that part? And that's the bit that you feel more personally, because it can be, well, you didn't look the part. You didn't look right. It doesn't mean you looked wrong. It just means you didn't look right for that part. And that's a different type of thick skin that you have to adopt to be able to get through what you're doing. And behind any of those thick skins is the same thing that you came back to, is the passion. If the passion is there for what you're doing, developing that thick skin is easier. So having spent 45 years in the recruitment industry and about 6 months in the entertainment industry probably indicates that in reality where the passion was, as opposed to putting myself out there on a stage. What I originally wanted to be was world famous.
Yes.
And obviously, in hindsight, would not have been able to handle that at all. So probably just as well.
You still can, you're still young enough to do this. You know why? Because being in Los Angeles, people who work in my lab are all actors, clearly.
Yes.
Because
it's like everybody in a bar or a restaurant is an actor.
Yeah, and because we have few people who work there full time, and then we have a lot of contractors who come when we need them. They're all actors, and they've been at it for years, some 20, 30 years. And some are 50, some 60 years old. And they're all down, like you said, about the whole thick skin, so many rejections, but then they get one yes and they get excited. And I always say, it's like entertainment or starting your own company. You can do it at any age.
Yep.
And even there is some research done that the best entrepreneurs are the ones that started their company at the age of 45. So maybe
that makes sense.
Because you have all this knowledge, whatever your previous life or career was. Yep. And I think that makes sense. So yes, it's never too late for anyone to change whatever they are not happy with.
Okay. Well, I'll hold on to that then. And you may see me on Broadway starring opposite Barbara. Yeah, we'll be there. And I'll be there promoting. Look at my beautiful skin. It's from Liia's skincare products. I'll be the face of your product for old people.
And between the auditions, you can come and work with me.
Yeah, finding you staff to put in your factories. So, what piece? Well, I know we've covered bits of it actually as we've gone along, but would you go back? Would you go back to the pharma world? What do you miss about that part of your world, or was it a fantastic chapter and now this is the next fantastic chapter?
Well, number one, I think life is short. Never say no, and always take opportunities as they come to you. I love that chapter a lot, and I always say I may go back. Because if EpiLynx, my company, if it does well, I can hire somebody to run it, or we can sell it, or we can do whatever. I loved it a lot. I do miss it. I miss the camaraderie and the team, because now as the founder and the CEO of the company, even though I have all these customers that write to me every day, good and bad, I have people in the lab, I do feel extremely lonely often, because the decisions are made by me. A lot of things are either reading or talking to agencies. So you feel very lonely, because I don't feel necessarily I have that large team that's all over the world. Yeah. And where you work on that common purpose. We do now, but it's just very different. And then you have a lot of projects. So I miss that. I do keep in touch with most of the people I used to work with. But I think that's something that I would definitely want to have back. I don't miss the travel anymore, because I think, it's great to be in a beautiful place like this. And you become older, you become more stuck in your routine, and the kids need me much more now, being young teens and but I don't exclude that when they go to college, that I may say, if this chapter is done, I either do more of this or I go back to the pharmaceutical industry. I have been approached for some roles, and I say now usually no, but I always say let's keep in touch. You never know. I think it's.
So I'll bear you in mind. If I take that key search for a global SVP of medical something or others, wherever, I'll be like, let me just check with Liia what might be going on with her.
Yes. I think it's in anything you do and in any life stage. I think that's what makes you also successful, to be that open-minded and to be open and always take the meetings.
So the final piece from you, because I know you're very busy and I know you need to get on with your day. What advice would you give to women now, in whatever stage of their career? What advice would you give for them when things get tough? How to keep going when it's not quite going how you expected it to?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I still struggle with that. And obviously, it depends on the situation you're in, what stage in life, what stage in your career.
Yep.
I think it's always good to pause, because there are many times, even as much as I loved being in the pharmaceutical industry, many times I said, I want that promotion, I did not get it, I'm going to look somewhere else. Or many times I said, I'm done with this, I'm going to switch to a different, like medical affairs, to ethics and compliance. And now, being older, I realized that I was too impatient and sometimes immature in that sense, which is fine. We need to go through the stages.
Yep.
And it's good to just pause and not to do any rash action and think about, okay, where am I now? What took to get me here? And if it's a promotion you want, or a new different team, or something is happening in whatever way it works, just say, what will it take to get me there? And is the grass really greener? And talk to people, go to conferences, talk to your colleagues, meet new people, talk about it. Because what I find now, when I get a bit down in what I do, and I had a moment a few years ago, like, oh, I'm going back into the pharmaceutical industry. I talked to all my friends and the friends of their friends, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing it. So it's good to talk, but don't make those rash decisions, or like, I'm going to look in somewhere else, because grass is not always greener.
Yeah.
And sometimes what you have is really great, and you are there because of all the hard work you've done to get there, you know? And I always say, if we talk about promotions, because that's what main thing people usually like, I wanted this, I didn't get this, I hate them all, I'm going to leave. It's usually like, you look at yourself, are you operating at the level, already the next level, so that promotion is yours? And if not, ask your manager or your peers, what will it get to be there? And maybe you need to work a little bit more, or maybe it is something else that you need to, maybe a course, or maybe some other discipline you need to look at. I really would say pause and talk to people, and grass is not always greener.
Right. And actually, that's a little bit like your philosophy now with emails and messages that come through. Instead of that knee-jerk reaction of, right, I'm going to respond to this, I'm going to do this, is that, let me just pause. Yes. Let me think about it, and let me come up with what is the most suitable solution to what that challenge is. So I think that's a fantastic piece of advice, and certainly something that you seem to live in your current world as it is now. Yeah. So Liia, I have to say thank you so much for taking the time out. I know that you've got a busy time ahead. I look forward to following your success with the products. And if you want to send Babs a care package and just say it's from me, and just put my number on there, she can give me a call, and then, you know, I'll take it from there. All right. If you just send the product, I'll build the relationship. So much luck. And if I'm ever in LA, I'd love to sit down and grab a cocktail and catch up with what you're doing. And please reach out. If you're ever in New York, it would be great to hang out and maybe go see a Broadway play or something.
Yes. Maybe with you acting in it. Who knows?
With me being in it. Absolutely. Yes. I'll get you a free ticket.
Yes. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fabulous weekend, and hopefully our paths will cross.
Yes, absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you.
That wraps up today's episode of She Leads Biotech. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and found inspiration in the stories shared. Remember, the success of every woman can inspire another, so don't hesitate to share yours. She Leads Biotech is brought to you by CNA International USA, a woman-owned boutique search firm specializing in sourcing talent for small and emerging bioscience companies across the US, from our headquarters in New York. For more information about our services, feel free to reach out at contact@cnaint.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and continue pioneering progress for women in bioscience.